Hello, this is Katie Weeks, your independent, close to my heart maker, and I am here today with the launch of our new March-April 2021 catalog, along with my close to my heart Twisted Sisters for a YouTube hop. Today, I'm going to share with you two different twists for a card that I made. I created this bunny and a cute little Easter basket. So here we go. Here's the first card that I made, and I think I'm not going to split the front like I did here, but you can see the bunny on the front and the little Easter basket on the inside, and I'm going to recreate something very similar using this Daisy Meadows Cardmaking Stamp and Thin Cut set to create the bunny. I stamped it off an extra time in cinnamon ink so that I can use those arms to make legs on the back of the bunny. I'll use the feet, and I stamped all of that on Mink cardstock, and then I have this lemon from the Sweet Fruits that I'm going to use for his body. That is the first twist for this card. So I'm actually going to use the lemon, and I used it doing the rock and roll technique. You can see the first generation, then I used the second generation and inked up the edges again using that rock and roll technique to stamp the body. I used two different TriBlend markers, the red brown and the pale pink, to color the bunny, and his little tail I also stamped that on just white daisy cardstock. So I colored them. I did use my blender a little bit and colored up all the different parts, and then I started assembling using the 3D foam tape and the thin 3D foam tape as well. And I wanted it to look like that bunny was laying on his belly, and so I used that lemon for his body, and then I used the extra arms as legs on the back part of his body, and then his feet flipped up from behind him like he was laying on his belly, and those feet are there. And so I just used those different layers of 3D foam tape and thin 3D foam tape to assemble that little bunny. And then I used the Flamingo Shimmer Brush on the ears and nose, and maybe a little bit on his back feet as well. And then I'll set him off to the side and let him dry. And next I'm going to start assembling the front of my card. So I used two different papers from the Daisy Meadows paper pack, and I used the peacock print that had the little marks through it, and I used that as the background, and it created a frame with that plaid. The plaid is my absolute favorite print in the whole paper pack, and so I really wanted to feature that on the front of my card. And then I set that aside and I started working on the sentiment. The first one I used from a PML card of the Daisy Meadows. So the second card, I didn't have that. So I used a PML card from Lovely. I used, I think, a random piece of scrap paper I had from the Mix-ins from January, February. And then I stamped the Hoppy Easter from that same Daisy Meadows Cardmaking Stamp and Thin Cut set in Smoothie ink and set that aside. I actually grabbed one thin cut from the Waterfall, and I cut it out of the Smoothie cardstock, and I cut it in half, and that little banner cut in half was just a little pennant that stuck out from the sides of this sentiment piece. And then I'm going to pop up that stitch bracket thin cut on top of the larger stitch bracket thin cut with some 3D foam tape and set it aside for later on. Next, I'm going to work on my gate. So this came from the Daisy Meadows Cardmaking Workshop Kit. I cut this gate out, and I'm actually making an Easter basket out of it. So this is my second twist. You'll see I snipped off the very top of that gate, and then I cut a bunch of 1/8 inch strips out of the wood grain paper, and I'm using that to weave through the different post on the gate to give me the effect of a basket. And this took a little bit of time, but it wasn't too bad. And so I just wove them all the way through. It reminds me of a Longaberger basket, which is something I have collected for years. So I assembled the basket, and then I had to trim down the edges that stuck out, and then I just glued them to the back. I also took off the handle because it was too tall for the inside of my card. So I glued down all of those edges that stuck out, and then I glue the handle back on and just made it a little bit shorter so it would fit on the inside of my card. So the dual tip multi-bond glue is a great way to hold down all these fine little pieces and to hold the handle onto the basket as well. It was just very quick and easy. You could also use your liquid glass, but you would need to make sure that you keep your cap on between each use. So that's when I like to pull out this dual tip multi-glue. And then the egg print on one of the sheets fits perfect with an old thin cut that we had. It was from the basic oval thin cut set, and it's the very smallest oval. So I cut out all of these Easter eggs from that paper, and I just started filling up my Easter basket. And I just glued them to the back and kind of piled them all up in there, and that will go on the inside of my card. There are two little things of grass in that Daisy Meadows card making workshop, and I'm using my mint and sage ink, and I'm going to stamp the grass all along the bottom of the front of the card and inside the card using those two different shades of ink. I kind of varied the height, kind of turned them a little bit at an angle every once in a while, just to give, a randomness to some degree of that grass going across there, and clean it off with your chamois. I love my chamois. Next, I'm going to put that bunny on the front of the card, and then I'll put the sentiment on the other side, and I used Easter eggs on the corner of the sentiment on the other card, and I love those stickers from the front of our sticker sheet, but I didn't have that anymore, so this time I'm going to use some flowers that were on our sticker sheet, and I put a few along the bottom in the corner, and then I popped one up on my card as well, so that it was kind of layered over the sentiment and over the other flowers as well. So when you look through the catalog, do you ever see ideas like this, things that you can twist up? I think there's several different things you can do with this little gate from the card making workshop. I would like to challenge you. See if you can go through the catalog and find some different ideas. And I'm sure all of the ladies on this hop will really help inspire you to use these products in multiple ways. And if we have multiple ways to use it, then I think it just makes it a little bit more challenging and fun. So make sure you'll follow along this hop, and Katy Donaldson Taylor will follow me, and she's linked in the description below. Okay, so I have my bisque colored liquid pearls, and I added it to the front and on the inside, and since I'm trying to hurry for this video, I just stuck my scissors, the handle of my scissors in there to hold it up a little bit so that it could dry. And then I grabbed a few shimmer brushes and I added some shimmer in just a few different spots. I also added that bisque liquid pearl on the inside of those flowers too, to give them a little bit of dimension. But I love using that clear shimmer brush on the stripes of some of those eggs, and I think I grabbed out an old one, maybe Bashful, and also the Flamingo, and just used it for some little accents to give some sparkle and shine in different spots on the front and on the inside of my card as well. So here you go. The first one I made, the little bunny ears kind of held it together when it would stand up, but I think I like it just normal on the front. I was trying to do something fancy, but I think I like my second card just as well. Please consider subscribing to my channel, liking, sharing, and giving a sweet comment.